Hello boys and girls, welcome to Mrs. Bandu's Math Movies. This is lesson 3-6 for my course 2 class 4 period 4. This lesson is changing units in the customary system. So we're going to change units of length, capacity, and weight in the customary system. The customary system is the one that we use here in the United States. We've done a little bit of work already this year with the metric system, so now we'll spend a little bit of time working on the customary system. Okay, first thing we see here is a table, customary units of measure. I don't absolutely feel that you need to memorize this, but you should be familiar with this table and also know how to use it to find information you might need. Okay, so here are some bits of information. We have length. Length is in inches, feet, yards, and miles. 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 yard is 3 feet. And 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Capacity. Fluid ounces, cups, pint, quart, gallon. Okay, so that's liquid measure right there. Fluid, liquid, etc. Okay, so 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces. 1 pint is 2 cups. 1 quart is 2 pints. And 1 gallon is 4 quarts. Finally, we have weight, ounce, pound, and ton. 1 pound is 16 ounces. Okay, and 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So again, these are the very basic units of customary measure and equivalents that you should, again, not absolutely memorize, but be very, very familiar with so that you actually have, some of these you should have memorized just from daily use, but know them well enough that you recognize them and can use them out of the table. Okay. So first of all, what we're again going to be focusing on is changing units of measure. So here we're going to be changing units of length. A carpenter cuts a 4-foot, 10-inch piece from an 8-foot board. What is the length in feet of the remaining piece? Okay, so you're starting out with an 8-foot board. You're cutting something off. You want to know how much is left. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is subtract 4 feet and 10 inches from 8 feet. Okay, first thing we want to do here is write the 4 feet and 10 inches as a mixed number, or a fraction actually. So the 4 feet remains 4, but we're going to write 10 inches as a fraction of a foot. So remember that that's going to be 10 inches out of 12 inches in a foot. So you have to know, go back to the chart, or you should know this one, that 1 foot contains 12 inches. So 10 over 12 is a fraction we can use for that. And then we're going to reduce that by 2's. So 4 and 5/6 feet is the number that we're going to use. Now we have it as a fraction, and we can go through our step for subtraction. Okay, so 8 minus 4 and 5/6. Okay, remember you're going to have to borrow and rename 8 as 7 and 6/6. Remember, we'll use 6/6 because our denominator in this fraction is 6. So make your life easy and do that. Also, if you prefer to write your problem stacked, after you write through this one, you might want to go off to the side and work it out in the stacked format like we do in class. Okay, now I can subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. 6/6 minus 5/6. 6 minus 5 is 1/6. So the remaining piece is 3 and 1/6 feet long. Okay, and we have to answer it this way because it asks us for the length in feet, not feet in inches. So sometimes it might be appropriate to answer in feet and inches, but you need to answer the question being asked. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and work this one out the way we have practiced many of these in class as well, or at least one of the variations. Then by stacking, remember this is what I mean, so the 8 becomes a 7. You borrow 1 whole, and we'll rename the 1 whole as 6 6. Now you get 3 and 1 6. So again, if you like writing it this way, by all means do that, because the alternate method can be a little confusing sometimes. Okay, let's move on. And here we have a multiple choice question. How many 2-cup servings are in a 36 fluid ounce sports drink bottle? Okay, first, so our choices are A, B, C, and D, 1 1/8, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 4 1/2. First, find the number of fluid ounces in 2 cups. Since there are 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup, okay, you should know that, or can figure out that there are 16 ounces in 2 cups. So 1 cup equals 8. The second cup is 8, so you can just multiply by 2 or add 8 plus 8 to get 16 ounces. Okay, however you want to think about it. Okay, so divide 36, the total number of ounces that are in the sports bottle, by 16. And that's going to give you 2.25 if you use a calculator. Okay, if you work it out without using a calculator, you're going to get 2 1/4. Okay, so basically there are 2 1/4 servings in a 36 fluid ounce sports drink bottle. Sorry, that's a mouthful there. So our correct answer choice is B. Okay, we can in class review how to do this. Actually, let's just do it right now if you're doing it by hand. And particularly, this isn't very helpful to have it 2.25 unless you know how to change a decimal into a fraction, which we do. Or you could simply do the division immediately without using a calculator and get 2 1/4. We can review these in class, so please be sure that you ask if you would like to review how to do this. Basically, it's just like 36 divided by 16, and instead of going into decimals, we stop and make a fraction. We will review that in class, though. Okay, changing units of weight. Which weighs more, a 1 3/4 pound book or a 24-ounce catalog? Okay, so first of all, we want to think of the relationship between pounds and ounces. Okay, 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. So to change 1 3/4 pounds to ounces, we're going to multiply 1 3/4 by 16. So we're going to first of all write 1 3/4 as an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So that gives us 7/4 here, and 16 gives us 16 over 1. We are going to cross cancel by 4s because 4 and 16 have that common factor. So 4 into 4 is 1. 4 into 16 is 4. So 7 times 4 is 28. 1 times 1 is 1, so it's 28 over 1. The 1 3/4 pound book weighs 28 ounces. It is heavier than the 24-ounce catalog. And you don't absolutely have to do this, but oftentimes it's easier if you're not sure if you should convert ounces to pounds or pounds to ounces. If one of them seems more reasonable to you, you could do it that way. A surefire, fairly safe thing to do, though, is always convert to the smaller unit. Ounces are smaller than pounds, so I'm going to convert this into ounces as well. Again, it's not an absolute, though. You could have converted the 24 ounces into pounds as well. Again, if that's something you're interested in doing, we can certainly talk about that in class. We don't have a lot of room to write on here, so I'm not going to go over it at the moment. There are 3 quick check questions here for you to answer, so please have those completed by the next time we meet in class. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye now.